And Three Dog Thursday does continue. It is the video roundtable. I've enlisted some more great guests. Again, if you're only hearing us, if you've subscribed on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, find the video, the Three Dog Thursday YouTube page, social media link. You will see all of the guys on the roundtable, including my man Dan Leach with 97 won the ticket, the FM sports station in Detroit. He's smiling right now, but it's not pretty right now for the Big Ten and for your Michigan Wolverines. But it's good to have you nonetheless, my friend, Mr. Leach.
It's great to be here with my new best friends, Matt and Chris. But yeah, it's not been fun these last couple of days because I'm a huge Big Ten football guy, huge Wolverine fan, and not being there. I mean, we're going to probably be there with fans in the fall anyway, but not having football at all. Very depressing.
Yeah, it's disappointing. We're going to try to talk through this. It's almost like group therapy. All the way out west in Phoenix, Arizona, he oversees the USC Trojan Wire site for USA Today. Longtime college football national writer with the College Football News. Also has helped out with Florida Football Insiders and a couple of other publications. He is Matt Zemek. Mr. Zemek, I wish we had better news, but for the Pac-12, it's not looking real good right now either.
Yeah, I'm the editor of Trojans Wire in August, but I don't know if I will be in September.
We're all
just reality.
Day to day and week to week, and a man that epitomizes that is my man Chris Stewart, another sideline brother from another mother from the Alabama Crimson Tide radio broadcast for football. Also, Crimson Tide basketball broadcast. Good to have you on the round table. And it's good that you're making not so nice with the Ohio State fans. Leach will compliment you for that because you're pipes at some Buckeyes on social media I saw. We'll get to that coming up. How you doing, Chris?
Wasn't my intent, but if I can make some people happy in the process, that's fine.
Okay, so let's get to it. Let's get to the discussion. All right, let's begin with the scheduling mayhem. Reactions from everybody. I guess, Dan, first to you. We'll go the how surprise route. How surprised are you that the Big Ten didn't wait, didn't delay, just said no football this fall?
Well, TJ, you and I have actually talked about this for months now, and I hate that I'm right. I was hoping I was wrong. I'm not surprised at all because I said this from months and months ago that, first off, I didn't think there was going to be baseball, hockey, basketball, anything. I'm glad the NBA bubble's working. Baseball's another story, and hockey's doing well as well. But I thought when it came to at least college football, when the president of Michigan, Dr. Mark Schlissel, who's a doctor, the president of Michigan State, who's a doctor, are talking about if there's no on-campus classes, there's no fall sports. I just didn't see it happening with so many unknowns, so many moving parts. You see, it's tough enough getting NBA players safe in a bubble, 15 to a team. You've got 70-plus student athletes, plus coaches, plus trainers, plus everybody else. So as much as I was hoping I was wrong, I did not think there'd be college football. So I kind of, I guess, protected myself, prepared myself, because I love it so much anyway. But when the delay part that you brought up, that was surprising to me because I know officially they're saying it's a postponement. They could play in spring, but it ain't happening in the fall. And I guess maybe not waiting a little longer was a tad surprising. But when it comes to the Big Ten and it comes to the strong words from guys like Schlissel, the president of Michigan, and some of the other schools, only Iowa and Nebraska in that boat voted to play. They'll play if it's, I don't know, there's a hurricane going on. But I just look at it as it sucks, but it's the right decision. And you cannot put kids that are – I know we've lost the term student athlete for a long time. It's really kind of athlete these days. But they are student athletes. You can't put them at risk. You can't put others at risk. And that's why I think the Big Ten made the right decision as of now. I mean, obviously things could change, the fluid situation down later in the year and obviously in the spring. But it sucks. It does suck. And, they had already been with the schedule out. Kevin Warren, the commissioner, Buckeyes, Michigan wasn't going to be the last game of the year. Michigan State was going to open in Ann Arbor, not playing against Michigan. It was all crazy. But in the end, it was the right call for now. And that's just kind of where we're living in COVID-19 right now.
All right, so there's Dan's opinion on that. The Pac-12 followed suit, Matt Zemek, and said, we're not doing this either for this fall. Same how surprised question to you. How surprised they didn't delay? They're saying we're not playing.
Well, the Western United States and more specifically the West Coast, you have a lot of blue states. The Pac-12 is a bluer Power Five conference, I think the widespread national perception, I mean, I live in the West, but I follow everybody, what everybody's saying across the country. It was pretty widely felt that if a conference was going to quit on football for the fall, the Pac-12 was going to be either, if not first, it was going to be at the forefront. So not a surprise at all, really.
Okay, so to Chris Stewart, you're in the South, I'm in the South. It's ingrained in you about the SEC, et cetera. So for a distant person like what we are, were you shocked at this early in the week that they didn't delay from our outside perspective?
I'm not stunned that the conferences have made the moves that they have. I think one thing we've learned is country's a whole lot bigger than maybe we think of it as being. Our conferences might be too big in terms of how they're spread out, because I think you've got different areas, different interests that you're seeing now beyond just the TV dollars, which is where all of this really came from. But Matt's right. Matt hit it on the head. It's become political. That's what it is, more than as much as anything else. I won't say more, but I think it's as much as anything else. And the people who are making the decisions at the respective schools, and you can pick whatever side you want to, but I think they're going with what their heart tells them, but also with what their constituents by and large want to hear. I know that's not exactly the case in Michigan or Ohio, but I think by and large, maybe not even from the people that are directly involved with the sports themselves, this is what we're seeing.
All right. So interesting. Let's go back to the Michigan angle and Jim Harbaugh. He reacted, and Dan, you know this. This is sports radio gold for you guys up in the upper Midwest and in Michigan. He reacted very quickly. He reacted very angrily here, and I'm going to show the statement that, and hopefully you can read this pretty well here, the statement. If not, I'll just kind of zoom in on the high points. He put this statement out, guys, and basically said that we've had 2 positive tests out of the last 417 administered. We've had 0 out of the last 353. 0 tests positive among the coaches or the staff in 8 weeks. There's no contact tracing to our fields, our weight room, our locker room, our facility. Basically, he's saying we've worked hard at this. We can play. We want to play. He even quoted Teddy Roosevelt at the bottom, so that our place will not be among the cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. They want to go play. All right. What do you make of that there, Dan Leach?
I think it's better than Lou Holtz calling on Normandy and saying, hey, losses in Normandy. Why don't we play college football? Matt, you're right, too. And I hate this, that it has become political, mask-wearing sports, etc. But it even goes deeper than that. And I was doing a live show when the Big Ten report first came out, and Harbaugh he didn't do the full statement yet, but we basically were told he was running down the hallways of Schembechler Hall screaming, "Let us play, we can do it." Let me put it this way, and this is where I'm at with all of it, and I've said this the whole time. I hope I'm wrong, but we're dealing with a novel virus, a novel coronavirus that there is no proven treatment and no vaccine for. And I saw the things you just pointed out there, the positive tests and how low things are, and I get all that. But let's take Major League Baseball, for example. Major League Baseball, 25-man rosters, coaches, all that kind of stuff. They started, and there was like no positive tests right before they were coming out of the kind of spring or summer training, starting into the regular year for the 60-game season. Then they started traveling, and 4 teams, including the Cardinals, entire team almost, was positive for COVID. So you could have all your, encapsulated things, be in your, bubble, if you will, in Ann Arbor or wherever it's at, for whatever school it is out in the Pac-12 or in the SEC or Big 12, whatever it is. But then once you start traveling, it's going to become a disaster because it's not 25 players. It's like 120 people. So I understand. Believe me, we want to play football. I wish we could play football. But right now, to me, and maybe I'm the only one that feels this way in this group, it makes no sense to me. Because these are kids. They're not being paid, at least from what we know, allegedly not being paid.
Right.
And they should be. But they're student athletes. And it's one of these things where, what matters most? Is it life? Is it playing sports? Is it TV ratings? Like this can happen in the future. Football isn't going away. We're not ending the sport. It's a matter of postponing things and pushing them until things are much safer.
But, all right, hang on. Isn't there an argument if you're a senior, this is the end for you potentially? And if
Trevor
this is
Lawrence, Fields, I get it. But listen, are there worse things than, and most of those seniors won't play in the NFL, but are there worse things for Trevor Lawrence to be the overall #1 pick and just not having to play and get injured? Like, I understand that. And yes, there's going to be some frustrating things for the fifth string tight end or the third string wide receiver that worked his butt off, but will never sniff the NFL. I get that. But once again, I go back to this. This is not an easy situation for anybody around the world, yet alone this country. We've got to prioritize. And if I'm being the evil Gargamel right now, by prioritizing the right thing to do, then that's me. And TJ, you know me. I know I'm just meeting my great friends Matt and Chris, but I'm a super positive guy.
Yes.
I'm the opposite of this normally, but to me, it makes no sense to play college football right now.
And you've made that clear here in our conversation. You're hearing the voice of Dan Leach. Again, if you're only hearing us, find the video podcast of Three Dog Thursday. These guys have been gracious enough to sit with me on the Zoom and on the video here. Dan didn't know what he was getting into with this much on-camera time. So find Leach on Twitter at Leach971.
You're close. Dan Leach 97.
Dan Leach 97.1 for the station.
Task Force.
And the Task Force as well as his show, which we'll plug again in a second. Matt Zemek as well is with me. You find him at Matt Zemek on social media. And Chris, I believe I have it correct. It's C. Stewart Sports, correct, for yours. Was I close on the social media?
I don't even remember anymore.
I think so, yes. Chris.
Where's my card?
Chris is trying to ditch. Chris is trying to ditch the Twitter account because Ohio State fan has been piling on so much. He doesn't even want to participate there with that. But yes.
I think, what are we looking for? Yes, go with that.
Yes, we will go with C. Stewart Sports. Yes, why not? Online. Find him there as well. All right, so Matt Zemek, you wrote something interesting, and this is going to kind of dovetail as we continue along here into the SEC discussion. You wrote on the USC Trojan Wire, and I'm putting it up again on the screen for those that are looking for the podcast here. I want them to be able to see this as well. So
you're like me. You have as many windows open as I do.
Oh, I know. Lord, it's crazy how many that I do have. Yes.
I have like 140.
Yes, and so you have written, Mr.
There was a
Zemek,
smaller screen with a smaller number of tabs.
Yeah, no doubt. But you have written on your Trojan Wire site that basically this is a moment for the SEC and Greg Sankey. Are they going to blow the whole thing up or not with trying to play? You feel that strongly about it. So go ahead and give me a little more on that.
Well, I don't know what the SEC wants to do, but I think that, it's certainly a talking point among people in the South. I mean, because I interact with them on Twitter. I mean, this is a conversation point right now that the Big Ten, by becoming the first Power 5 team to quit on fall football, it's making itself less nationally relevant. That is an argument. That's not my opinion, but it's a talking point many people are talking about. And so it's certainly a valid question to ask. Doesn't mean we need to have a specific answer or that an answer is empirically right or wrong or informed or ill-informed, but just it's a legitimate question to put forth. If the SEC plays and has a season with minimal incident or disruption, boy, how big an effect is that going to have on Big Ten recruiting? Our top-end recruits that might get pulled in different directions, might consider Ohio State or Penn State. Are they going to now, would they then change to the SEC toward Alabama, LSU, Georgia? Would the SEC skim a significant subsection of recruits that have been considering going to Ohio State? Would the SEC then gain an extra level of dominance over and against Ohio State? And might the Buckeyes revert to, not the outhouse, but maybe to like a John Cooper level where they weren't always the giant killers that they are now? So the SEC could pursue that, and be given the possible benefit. But if the SEC does pursue it and then gets caught in a COVID trap, you could see that boomerang back in the SEC's face, and the Big Ten and Ohio State could look better. So that is a big political, economic drama right now facing the SEC. And it's going to be fascinating to see that play out in the next several weeks. So
because clearly,
really quick, I was going to say, Matt, is there a reason you're not talking about Michigan with Ohio State? I guess we don't deserve that.
I can't. Can we? I don't think we can. You know?
Not right now, no,
reality.
because Harbaugh still has the goose egg next to the name with respect to playing Ohio State. But in any of
it's another year, he goes 0-6.
Yeah, so he's not going to beat them this year apparently either. But the point that you're making is the SEC's at the forefront here, and that dovetails into Chris Stewart. I was showing the article, by the way, there that you wrote on Trojan Wire while you were talking. So Chris, a lot of eyes on the SEC as being at the forefront, along with the ACC, on trying to play games here. Say something about that, because clearly right now it's fluid. That's the plan. They want to try to play in September.
I think they want to try and play. Not that the Pac-12 didn't want to try and play, not that the Big Ten didn't want to try and play. I think the argument, and this gets back to what we were talking about earlier, you've got one far extreme that says no way we can play, that were saying it a month ago. You've got others who have been saying from the start of this, damn the torpedoes, here we go, we're going to play
right
on the other end. And you've got most of us that are somewhere closer to the middle. And I think what many of us feel, certainly in this part of the country, is we may not be able to play, but why did you have to make the decision now? Why could we not wait? Now, some are saying the numbers are not going to get any better. Okay. But there are others, especially in my part of the country, that are going, okay, if the numbers overall are not going to get better, but there's no proof that they're going to get worse, how long do we stay in the house before we come out?
Right.
And if we're going to go to class anyway, if we're going to go to school anyway, I've got 3 kids, guys. I've got a sophomore in college who is going to be spending time in class. They're going to, I think, divide some of that up with virtual class. I've got a high school kid who's going to be the same way, 2 days in school, 3 days virtual. But I've got an elementary school child that we'd already made the decision that we were going to have him at home for virtual schooling the entire time because of the fact we don't trust other 9-year-old kids to stay out of his face, which is what most people are saying. Wear your masks, do what you're supposed to do, take some personal responsibility with this. I don't know if we're going to be able to play or not, but what I do know is that the feeling is a lot better in the parts of the country where they haven't ruled it out yet than they have where you guys are, where they've already said, no, we're not going to do it.
Interesting from Chris Stewart. And a good point that should be made here, too, while Leach was going on and on about all the doctors that are presidents of the Big Ten universities. They are not suspending in-school, on-campus class attendance and class learning. So students are going to be going and potentially spreading depending on mask, no mask, whatever. And they're saying still to the football teams, you can meet, you can practice, you can be around each other, you can still have your meetings, but you're not going to play games. At least from my standpoint, the Pac-12 and the California schools that are in the Pac-12, they aren't on campus. They're all virtual. And to my knowledge, they're not going to be able to get together and practice if they're not playing. I don't know what they're going to do, but it doesn't seem like that they're going to be able to. So there's one more point on that. All right, one more for the group around the table here. You may not be familiar with this, but Chris put this out there, and I'm going to show this. All the talk about the college football playoff and whether or not we would have a college football playoff or not. So I'm going to share what Chris put out there, that the CFP has not exactly really needed either the Big Ten or the Pac-12. Sorry, Dan. Sorry, Matt. When you look at that litany right there of the previous participation in this, in the last few of these that the Big Ten's been involved, that's not exactly stellar there for Michigan State, Washington, or Ohio State twice. And then you had Buckeye fan like coming over the top rope on you, Chris Stewart, after you put that out there on social media.
Attempting to. They came at me with a foreign object, and I ducked out of the way, and thankfully the referee made him put it out of their hand. No, the point is, first of all, we got a small – if you're talking about the grand history of things, we got a small sample size in terms of the college football playoff. But my point is, if you can't if you think you can't claim a national champion, okay, if you can't claim a national champion, you've got 3/5 of the Power Five that are playing, and going just off the recent history, here are what the numbers are. And the reality is, going to the start of this back in 2014, 2015, your championship game consisted of the Pac-12 versus the Big Ten. Ohio State won it. But since then, there's only been one victory, I think, between the two conferences among the, I guess, what would that be? The other 17 games that have taken place among those. So whatever the math is, I had that in the tweet. And that's all I was saying. You can still claim one. You can still have a national champion if those two conferences choose not to play. It'd be really tough if it's simply the ACC and the SEC.
Right.
The Associated Press can vote, or whoever wants to. You know, we can go with the Birmingham News, and the AJC can pick them if they want to.
Trojan Wire will have a vote from USA Today. Leach will do a poll on his radio show. Well, the other thing is, too.
That it reeks of UCF, though. I mean, I understand that, you know.
UCF's not allowed. We've already said.
Right. Do away with.
3/5 is better than 0/5, but you're missing two. There's only 5 Power 5 conferences. So you can't just
put an asterisk by it if you want. Just give us the trophy.
Yeah, if it ends up. If it ends up. Well, and here's
the point I want to make on this.
Yeah, all right, one second. Everybody's going at once. Matt Zemek, go.
Yeah, so here's the point I want to make on this. As a Western guy, as a Pac-12 guy, I really don't have a beef with having semifinals and a championship game and a national champion. That's okay, but don't put it within the college football playoff. Don't call it that. Call it the amended playoff. Call it the adjusted playoff. You know, that this is a temporary thing. Don't use my goddamn Rose Bowl, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten.
No, they're going to play this in a high school stadium.
ACC and the SEC to play, okay? Don't do that. Don't soil my Rose Bowl like that.
Don't play this in
your own playoff and call it your own thing. Just do that.
Go ahead, Chris.
That's just what I want.
I understand. We are going to come to Pasadena. If there is such a thing, though, we're going to play at Pasadena High. And in 100 years, we ain't telling anybody we didn't go to the Rose Bowl.
Hey, they played the Rose Bowl one year in Durham, North Carolina, because of this thing called World War II and the fear of an attack.
Yep.
And they played in a tiny stadium, so it can happen. And one more thing that's on this, it's important, and you guys know this. This is all fluid. Michigan, Ohio State, Nebraska, Iowa, Penn State, they all ain't happy, and they may find a way to play before this is over, and may be part of this.
That's so stupid.
And that, well, we'll see. But they may do their own thing and may play a hodgepodge, Leach, of schools like AAC schools, Sunbelt schools, and others that want to play them.
If they could do it, I'd love it. But I just feel like all these pieces are flying apart like, you know, Thanos and Avengers. Everything's turning to dust. I understand that people want to play, but we're going to be able to play football again, I promise. The world's not ending. We're not going to Normandy and losing 50,000 troops. So I know it sucks. I know that some of these schools want to play on their own. Maybe at the end, it's just the SEC playing themselves. But right now, it doesn't feel, as you mentioned, TJ, it's a fluid situation. And by the way, back to your thing about Michigan, a lot of Michigan is not going to be on campus, by the way. There's a lot of stuff in the Big Ten that will not be, as far as in-campus learning. There's a lot to figure out about that. But it's just, as much as we want it, we've also got to be vigilant and be smart about it, too.
I'm with you on that. We got to get out of here in a moment or two. By the way, I'll share the screen here and plug away for Dan Leach as well on his show, The Task Force, as part of 97.1 The Ticket and what you're doing on video. The most recent episode of The Task Force with Dan Leach has my man with Mike Breen out of the NBA bubble talking NBA basketball and playoffs. There's the plug, Leach, right there for The Task Force. Very similar setup to what we're seeing on this video conversation right out of the same room. Not exactly the same shirt, but there's Mike Breen on with you. And so we say to the audience, go check out The Task Force, Dan Leach. You see the Twitter handle right there, or follow Dan Leach at Dan Leach 97.1 for 97.1 The Ticket. Did I do proper there by the plug, Mr. Leach?
100 million %. And I have 6 shirts and I rotate them. So I got a shirt for everything.
Find Matt Zemek at Trojan Wire, writing about USC. Just a quick answer. Is USC not playing football at all? You don't believe they're going to play at all? Done. Tommy Trojan, that's it. No, Zemek?
Stick a fork.
Wow on Tommy Trojan being done. And Chris Stewart in Alabama. We believe the SEC is going to play. Again, he hosts the Nick Saban TV show. Let's hope we get some kind of football. Great to have you on here as well. And we're going to try to remain optimistic that we get something, right?
As of today, we still have a season. That's all we're trying to get through is today, man. Good to be on with you guys. I appreciate you having me.
The only thing we know is that we don't know. I keep saying that on Three Dog Thursday. That's for sure. My thanks to Dan Leach. My thanks also to Matt Zemek and Chris Stewart on the Video Roundtable. Find the Video Roundtable on YouTube. My thanks also to Brian Edwards earlier with me handicapping away on Three Dog Thursday. I'm merely TJ Rives. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Find the video again through YouTube. Thank you, boys. Great job. And we thank the audience for being with us on Three Dog Thursday. Bye.
Peace.